You okay there, Vasananda, with the books?
I think so, Maharaj.
You don't need any... Is that your quota for today?
Yeah, actually.
Yesterday we went to Houseman San Lazar. It was quite nice. We went to Houseman San Lazar yesterday. It was nice. Very busy. Busier than Châtelet. Very nice people. One girl came from the Harinam to the program. First time. Really didn't know much. But very, very appreciative. Muslim girl, Tunisian. Very nice. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we're reading from Nowhere About Nothing today.
From Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya?
Well, I don't know. We can do both. I mean, I don't know. If we read from Caitanya Charitamrita, that's fine, but you have to get the right book. Yeah. It's Raghunath Das Goswami's Chiradhoy Mahotsav today. Yeah. So we can read from there, but you have to bring the book.
It's about the festival today.
Festival today, right, exactly. It'll be a big festival in Panihati, just north of Calcutta, is the village of Panihati, suburb. And there will be a very big festival there today. Presumably. I've never been for that festival, but I would assume it's very big. Thousands of people coming. Probably. It's quite well known. Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Shrupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam. Who's cooking breakfast?
We did.
You did between you? Okay, the two sisters. All three of you?
Wow.
Very good. Well done, ladies. Hey there, finished by time class is starting. Expert. And you're cooking lunch too, are you?
Not, is it planned?
Radeshvari.
Huh?
Radeshvari Mataji.
Madheshwari. So you'll be making the chip rice, is that right?
We did.
You did already. You didn't get the recipes.
I looked at YouTube.
Huh?
I saw the recipe at YouTube.
Oh, you went on YouTube. Okay, well there's hundreds of recipes, but hopefully you managed okay. Good. Yeah, because I thought we were offering it at lunchtime, but you offer breakfast, is good. So we're reading from the Caitanya Charitamrita, and this is from the Antya Leela, the last Leela of the Caitanya Charitamrita, and it is chapter 6. And we're hearing here a description of one of the eternal associates of the Lord, and how he is, well, let's say, also teaching us how we can come to pure devotional service, as well as manifesting a wonderful pastime and a relationship with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. The significance of the, let's say, the appearance of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya in this world, how they've come to dissipate the darkness of this age of Kali. Darkness means forgetfulness, ignorance of our identity of spiritual life, who is God, etc. So Raghunath Das, as a child, he was born in a devotee family in Bengal. His father, Govardhan Majumdar, his uncle, Hiranya Majumdar, very, very rich landowners, tax collectors on behalf of the government, and they were very rich. So he was brought up in a very opulent family. And as a child, they were devotees already, so obviously a very devotional environment, but nonetheless somewhat materialistic. And when he was a child, he had the opportunity to serve Haridas Thakur. This is early in the pastimes, we could say, of Caitanya Charitam or Caitanya Leela, before Haridas had even associated or had the association of Lord Chaitanya. At that time he was traveling, and he stayed some time with the Majumdar family, and there he preached the holy name. So in some ways it's understood that Haridas Thakur was a Siksha Guru in this regards, and in the case of Raghunath Das, so he had his association. And later on, of course, he had Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's association. He became maddened, like a madman, to associate with Lord Chaitanya. He had no interest in family life, although he was the only son of Govardhan. And this was a bit of a problem, because he was their only son. So he was due to inherit the family business, the family inheritance, the wealth, the business, whatever it was. He was expected to inherit it, but he showed no interest neither in business, neither in family life. And as all parents, naturally, especially those who are in Bengal, and anywhere in the world basically, but especially in India, this is a very big thing. So they naturally, as is common, they arranged for their son to get married. They married, being from an extremely rich family, of course, usually you have a fairly good choice of candidates. So they selected a very beautiful, extremely beautiful bride for their son, Raghunath, and they got married. And the idea was that they would become, like most people who were married, responsible grihastas. But nothing could hold Raghunath back. And we'll take it up from there. Raghunath Das, this is the father of Raghunath speaking to his wife. Raghunath Das, our son, has opulences like Indra, the heavenly king, and his wife is as beautiful as an angel. Yet all this could not tie down his mind. What do we have? Most of us, we've got something, but many of us were almost nothing materially, not very, whatever, not many opulences to say the least. Still we can't give it up. We're still very inclined towards material sense objects. But here's Raghunath. There's one thing to give up when you've got nothing, or you're a failure in life. You failed to make the grade, or you've been rejected or something. That's one thing. But there's another thing. When you have the opulences like Raghunath, the most beautiful girl that could be found in whatever. So beautiful. She compared to Sachi Devi, the wife of Indra. who's considered amongst the demigoddesses as incredibly beautiful. So he had such a beautiful wife, and he had, unending wealth, practically speaking, at his fingertips. He simply had to play his part, and he would inherit it. But he wasn't interested. He had another interest. He'd had the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and earlier Haridas, and he was mad for spiritual life. Well, the father carries on. Actually, what was happening, he was trying to run away every day from home, practically, regularly, trying to escape from family life. Some people may do it for the wrong reasons. This is an extraordinarily rare situation, but it's a justifiable one. Most are not justifiable. This one, in a sense, is, although not appreciated by materialistic people, no doubt. But they tried to keep him back. They had guards on the house. They would go out in all directions and bring him back. This is a severe test, you could say, of his sincerity. We had a similar thing in ISKCON in the late 70s, or middle 70s and 80s, in America specifically, not only, but Australia also, a little bit in England, and maybe a few other countries, here in France also. They had an international campaign program to try to deprogram, they call it deprogram, young boys and girls who have joined sects, not sex, sect, not sex. They are very happy if they join sects, but not a sect. They would pay them to join sects, but not a sect. So they had these professionals to try to beat out any interest in this so-called cult or sect from the child's mind, and it was quite intense. Many, not just Hare Krishna movement, all other kinds of movements were also targeted. The Hare Krishna movement was a very, you could say, specific one, because it was so, blatantly obvious. It was different to the norm, in the West at least. So the big thing, and many devotees were kidnapped and tortured, basically speaking, to try to drive it out of their minds and, become normal. Become normal. Like a nice, normal, upright citizen who doesn't think of anything outside of the box. So this is the history of ISKCON. Of course, it faded out after a while for various reasons. But they had a hard time with Hare Krishna devotees. They did succeed with some, but more or less, new ones, very young. But generally, they didn't get very far. And it was a bit frustrating for parents and the programmers, you could say, in many cases. But they had this whole thing. So in a sense, they were trying to deprogram Raghunath, bringing him back, trying to tangle him up in the business and the family and what have you. But at this stage, he's a bit like a madman, and it's hard to keep him down. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, we say in English. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you may restrain oneself from the material. This is the opposite example. You may forcibly restrain oneself from the sense objects, but the taste for sense desire remains. It's not a question of, locking someone up and expecting them to change necessarily. So Raghunath wasn't going to change. They tried everything. Then he said, how then can we keep this boy home by binding him with ropes? It is not possible even for one's father to nullify the reactions of one's past activities. They're talking about it as if it's a karmic reaction, What have I done? My mother said when I joined the movement, she said, what have I done to deserve this? I was so good to you, and now you're doing this to me. really overwhelmed with emotion. And he didn't know about karma, but a similar thing, what have I done to deserve this? He knew, no. They're thinking, oh God, we got such bad karma that our son is like this. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has fully bestowed his mercy on him. Who can keep home such a madman of Chaitanya Chandra? Then Raghunath Das considered something in his mind. It so happened that at that time Nityananda had been ordered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was in Jagannath Puri, and Nityananda was with him, and he ordered him to go to Bengal to preach. So Nityananda with his followers had left Puri and had slowly progressed towards back to Bengal. And one of his stops was here. Nearby, where Raghunath Das was residing, was the village of Panihati. Lord Nityananda was staying there. So he was sitting there at the banks of the Ganga. And Nityananda came to find out, Raghunath found out, well, Nityananda is not Lord Chaitanya, so it's a little different. And I don't know how much they knew about the nature of Lord Nityananda. He's quite an Apadut, quite an extraordinary character. So somehow or another, Raghunath was able to go to see Nityananda. In the village of Panihati, Raghunath Das obtained an interview with Nityananda Prabhu, who was accompanied by many kirtan performers, servants and others. Sitting on a rock under the tree, on the bank of the river Ganges, Lord Nityananda seemed as effulgent as hundreds and thousands of rising suns. Many devotees sat on the ground surrounding him. Seeing the influence of Nityananda Prabhu, Raghunath Das was astonished. The effulgence, the presence of Nityananda was transforms. It's a transformation. Sometimes in the material world you get a little bit of a reverential feeling, a little bit of when you're in the presence of a big personality in the material sense of the term. They have something, it may not be, of course, comparable to this, but they have some kind of Shakti, some kind of energy which is like charismatic, you could say, attractive. People are in awe. Raghunath Das offered his obeisances by falling prostrate, flat, at a distant place, and the servant of Nityananda pointed out, "There is Raghunath Das offering you obeisances." Hearing this, Lord Nityananda said loudly addressing Raghunath, "You are a thief. Now you have come to see me? Come here, come here. Today I shall punish you." Well, this is a deep subject, but we just look at two angles of this. I mean, just prior to this incident, Raghunath, although he wasn't interested in family affairs and business, he was nonetheless very expert at business. So just prior to this incident, his father and his uncle, who were very rich, and it's often the case amongst rich people, although they're filthy rich, they still want more. And oftentimes I saw yesterday, I don't know how I saw it, but I saw it, that the Hinduja family are in court for some kind of serious, unnecessary, completely. They're billionaires. They're the richest family in England. They 40 billion pounds assets, and they're squeezing, trying to reduce the pay or something for their servants. It's like, it's like you've got 40 billion pounds and you're worried about 100 pounds, It's a disease. Material is a disease, You're always trying to squeeze more sense enjoyment, make more money, And they were doing the same thing. It's not a new thing. They were taking more from the government out of the tax than they should have been. They were collecting, big tax collectors for the whole district. And they were taking more than they should, and this came to the notice of the authorities, and they came to arrest them, actually. So they found out before Govardhan and Hiranyajumdar found out that the government officers were coming. So they disappeared. They went to another place. And when the officers came, they weren't there, but Raghunatha was there. So they arrested him instead. And they brought him to the court of the king, Muslim king. But he was so expert and so, a child, not a child, but a young man, maybe teenager or something. And he was so, what to say, the king couldn't punish him. He was just completely enamored by his characteristics, by his quality, and by his words. He completely, let's say, captivated the king. You were like my uncle. Yeah, you're just like my uncle in our village, in our family affairs. He made all kinds of wonderful, you could say, praise of the king, and he said, okay, the king said, okay, you have to sort this out. You have to arrange that this is solved then. I won't arrest you, you're free. But you have to make an arrangement. So he did. He made an expert arrangement with his father and uncle to solve this problem. And everybody was happy. He was a very good diplomat, expert diplomat. So in that sense, he could say, why was he a thief? Well, that's one angle. His family were, extortion. They were getting money which they shouldn't have done out of the government. Huh? And another angle of that is that, generally speaking, when the thief stays at a distance. They don't, police around, they stay at a distance. They don't come close in. So he's offering us obeisances at a distance. So what are you doing? You're like a thief. You're way out there offering obeisance. Come here, you thief. So it's a kind, you could take it a little bit, what you say, familiar. But yes, a thief will stay at a distance, generally speaking. But that's not the real meaning here, which is not directly mentioned, indirectly mentioned here. The real meaning of this is that Raghunath Das had been trying to escape, had been trying to take shelter of Lord Chaitanya. Now, of course, Lord Chaitanya is Petit Pavan. He's come to deliver all the world, but there's a process of his delivery. You cannot directly expect it. It's there, but you can't get it in full. It's not available. Is only available by the mercy of Nityananda. They said, you're trying to steal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the property of Lord Nityananda. He belongs to Nityananda. That's the meaning here. How dare you try to steal my property without my permission? You're trying to take my property. Huh? You cannot get Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without going through me. He's mine. So what does that mean in practical terms? It means Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna, and that's our objective, you could say, goal of devotional service. But how? We can't go directly. It's a long story. You can go through a whole chain here, but the main part of the chain is you cannot go or cannot approach Radha and Krishna without going through Guru. Guru is manifest as Nityananda. He is Adi Guru. Adi Guru is Balaram, but Balaram manifests or appears as Nityananda. You cannot approach. Basically, this story is about you will not be able to escape. You will not get the shelter of Lord Chaitanya without my mercy, without going through me. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada yasya prasada nagati katopi. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, you cannot get the mercy of Krishna. It's not possible. This is Krishna's arrangement. We can say what we like. We can think what we like. We can imagine what we like. But it means nothing. It has no relevance. We may relatively think it's relevant amongst other ignorant personalities, but in the absolute sense, there's no other way. There is no other way, other by the mercy of Nityananda, of approaching Lord Chaitanya. That means through the spiritual master. We can hear about Lord Chaitanya and become attracted. That's great. But to actually achieve that, we must go through Nityananda. Let's read on. Many devotees sat on the ground. Here in The Lord then caught him, but Raghunath did not go near the Lord. Then the Lord forcibly caught him and placed his lotus feet upon Raghunath Das's head. Like a punishment. Huh? Stick his foot on. Get down. Bow down, Raghunath. Lord Nityananda was by nature very funny and merciful. Being very merciful, he spoke to Raghunath Das as follows. You are just like a thief, for instead of coming near, you stay away at a distant place. Now that I have captured you, I shall punish you. When thieves get caught, they get punished. In the material world, you may, by various methods, you may appear to get away with it. You can't get away with it in the terms of material nature. Karma catches everyone. And in this particular case, you can't trick your way to Godhead. Krishna can see everything in your heart. Whatever it is there, don't think you can hide it and put on a good show. We've got to root out all those, what we say, anarthas from our hearts. These independent ideas that we can enjoy some object which belongs to Krishna. That's the nature of the material world, the disease of this world. We think we can enjoy Krishna's property without him. We want the kingdom of God without God. Yes, we want heaven on earth. We want, or heaven in heaven. We want heaven, but we don't want God. Give me heaven. Give me the nectar. I want to enjoy. Our business is not to enjoy. Our business is to bring enjoyment to Krishna. Then you automatically enjoy. But that we don't want, because we want to be a little God ourselves. A little enjoyer. Then, how does he punish him? He's going to punish him now. Very severe. He's a thief. Is he going to... Traditionally, they used to cut their hands off. They don't do that now. Maybe in some countries. But that was the traditional punishment. Cut the thief's hand off so he can't do it again. Pretty heavy, huh? They had some pretty, serious business. Human life is a serious business. It's not a joke. It's to go back to Godhead. So a person is doing something which is detrimental. You have to help them not to do it. And if they don't listen, you have to help them a little bit more, and so on. That's the Vedic society or human society. Nowadays, we don't believe in God or karma, reincarnation, or anything. Even though we may loosely identify ourselves as being religious, we still have no spiritual understanding of how it all goes on, and so on and so forth. So here's the punishment. Are you ready? This is a severe punishment. Make a festival and feed all of my associates yogurt and chip rice. Hearing this, Raghunath Das was greatly pleased. Raghunath Das immediately sent his own men to the village to purchase all kinds of eatables and bring them back. Raghunath Das brought chip rice, yogurt, milk, sweetmeats, sugar, bananas and other eatables and placed them all around. As soon as they heard that a festival was going to be held, you know what happens, don't you? We're going to have a festival. There's going to be a feast. What happens? What time? The first thing you ask. What time's the feast? Well, the program starts at 5. The feast is at 7. Okay, 7 o'clock, huh? Feast at 7. So at 5 to 7, thousands of people turn up. That happens here. Usually the attendance at Prasadam is usually anything from 10 to 3 times bigger than it is during the program. And many temples in ISKCON are like that. Everyone just sort of appears at the feast. They're not there for the class or the kirtan, maybe the arati, but not earlier kirtans. We really not completely missing the point, but largely missing the point. As soon as he heard there was a festival was going to be held, all kinds of Brahmins and other gentlemen began to arrive. Thus there were innumerable people. They weren't there before, but when they heard there was a feast, let's go. Seeing the crowd increasing, Raghunath Das arranged to get more eatables from other villages. He also brought 200 to 400 large round earthen pots. He also obtained 5 or 7 especially large earthen pots, and in these pots a Brahmin began soaking chip rice for the satisfaction of Lord Nityananda. In one place, chip rice was soaked in hot milk in each of the large pots. Then half the rice was mixed with yogurt. As you do, you soak it in hot milk. Chip rice is flat. It immediately softens when you put it in hot milk. You soak it in the very boiling milk, practically. And you have to let it cool normally. You don't have to, but it's best to let it cool a bit. And then you take half of it and you mix it like this. In one place, chip rice was soaked in hot milk. And we've read that. Then half the rice was mixed with yogurt, sugar, and bananas. The other half was mixed with condensed milk and a special type of banana known as champakala. Did you get that banana? I don't know what type of banana that is. It may be Bengalis. But no. Then sugar, clarified butter, and camphor were added. And clarified butter means ghee. After Nityananda Prabhu had changed his cloth for a new one and sat on a raised platform, the Brahmin brought before him the 7 huge pots. On that platform, all the most important associates of Lord Nityananda sat. Nityananda Prabhu was sitting, as well as other important men. They were in a circle surrounding the Lord. Among them were Ramdas, Sundarananda, Gadadhar Das, Murari, Kamalakar, Shadashiva, and Purandar. Dhananjaya, Jagadish, Parameshwar Das, Mahesh, Gauri Das, and Hoda Krishna Das were also there. Similarly, Udarandat Thakur and many other personal associates of the Lord sat on a raised platform with Nityananda Prabhu. No one could count them all. Hearing about the festival, all kinds of learned scholars, Brahmins and priests went there. Lord Nityananda honored them and made them sit on the raised platform with him. Everyone was offered 2 earthen pots. In one was put chip rice with condensed milk, and in the other chip rice with yogurt. All the other people sat in groups around the platform. No one could count how many people there were. Each and every one of them was supplied 2 earthen pots, one of chip rice soaked in yogurt, and the other chip rice soaked in condensed milk. Some of the Brahmins, not having gotten a place on the platform, went to the bank of the Ganges with their 2 earthen pots and soaked their chip rice there. Others who could not get a place even on the bank of the Ganges got down into the water and began eating their 2 kinds of chip rice. Some sat on the platform, some at the base of the platform, and some on the bank of the Ganges. And they were all supplied 2 pots each by the 20 men who distributed the food. Now, it's a very nice thought just came in. And I don't know if we'll see it in this lifetime, but we do have done sometimes enacting this pastime in literal fact. You know, somebody's prepared all these prasadam. We go through, someone's taken the part of Nityananda, someone has these different associates, someone else Raghunath Das, and then other devotees. Certainly we haven't got enough devotees here to do it all, but other devotees coming in, and they're all sitting around. We can go down to the local park there and do it on the lake, perhaps, down at the park there, and do a whole drama down there with Chip Rice Festival. Huh? Be nice. Thus, some men sat on the platform, some on the base of the platform, some on the bank of the Ganges. At that time, Raghava Pandit arrived there, another great associate of the Lord. Seeing the situation, he began to laugh in great surprise. He brought many other kinds of food, cooked in ghee and offered to the Lord. This prasad he first placed before Lord Nityananda and then distributed among the devotees. So it wasn't just chip rice. Raghava Pandit said to Lord Nityananda, "For you, sir, I have already offered food to the deity, but you are engaged in a festival here." And so the food is lying there untouched. He'd already prepared prasadam for Lord Nityananda at his home. Lord Nityananda replied, "Let me eat all this food here during the day. I shall eat at your home at night. I belong to a community of cowherd boys, and therefore I generally have many cowherd associates with me. I am happy when we eat together in a picnic like this by the sandy bank of the river." Lord Nityananda made Raghava Pandit sit down and had 2 pots delivered to him also. There were 2 kinds of chip rice soaked in them. When chip rice had been served to everyone, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, in meditation, brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived, Lord Nityananda Prabhu stood up. They then saw how the others were enjoying the chip rice with yogurt and condensed milk. From each and every pot, Lord Nityananda Prabhu took 1 morsel of chip rice and pushed it into the mouth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a joke. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also smiling, took a morsel of food and pushed it into the mouth of Nityananda and laughed as he made Lord Nityananda eat it. In this way, Lord Nityananda was walking through all the groups of eaters, and all the Vaishnavas standing there were seeing the fun. No one could understand what Nityananda was doing as he walked about. He was like picking up sweet rice and gone. Some, however, who were very fortunate could see that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also present. Then Nityananda Prabhu smiled and sat down. On his right side, he kept 4 pots of chip rice that had not been made from boiled paddy. Lord Nityananda offered Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a place and had him sit down. Then, together, the 2 brothers began eating chip rice. Seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating with him, Lord Nityananda Prabhu became very happy and exhibited varieties of ecstatic love. Lord Nityananda Prabhu ordered, "All of you eat," chanting the holy name of Hari, Hari. Immediately the holy names, Hari, Hari, resounded, filling the entire universe. When all the Vaishnavas were chanting the holy names, Hari, 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 and eating, they remembered how Krishna and Balaram ate with their companions, the cowherd boys, on the bank of the river Yamuna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu are extremely merciful and liberal. It was Raghunath Das's good fortune that they accepted all these dealings. Who can understand the influence and mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu? He is so powerful that he induced Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come eat chip rice on the bank of the Ganges. All the confidential devotees who were cowherd boys, headed by Sri Ramdas, were absorbed in ecstatic love. They thought the bank of the Ganges to be the bank of the Yamuna. When the shopkeepers of many other villages heard about the festival, they arrived there. This is common when you have a festival. All kinds of devotees and outsiders come with their various goods to try to do some business. They set up a stall outside on the street, or if they get permission inside the compound, trying to sell whatever they're selling, different things to the people coming for the festival. So they set up their stalls to sell chip rice, yogurt, sweetmeats, and bananas. As they came bringing all kinds of food, Raghunath Das purchased it all. He gave them the price for their goods, and then he fed them the very same food. He bought all the food, had it made into chip rice, yogurt, condensed milk. Then he gave it back to them in pots. Anyone who came to see these funny things were going on was also fed chip rice, yogurt, and bananas. After Lord Nityananda Prabhu finished eating, he washed his hands and mouth and gave Raghunath Das the food remaining in the 4 pots. There was food remaining in the 3 other big pots of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and a Brahmin distributed it to all the devotees, giving a morsel to each. Then a Brahmin brought a flower garland, placed the garland on Nityananda Prabhu's neck, and smeared sandalwood pulp all over his body. When a servant brought betel nuts and offered them to Lord Nityananda, the Lord smiled and chewed them. With his own hands, Lord Nityananda distributed to all the devotees whatever flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, and betel nuts remained. After receiving the remnants of food left by Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Raghunath Das, who was greatly happy, ate some and distributed the rest among his own associates. Thus I have described the pastimes of Lord Nityananda Prabhu in relation to the celebrated festival of chip rice and yogurt. Nityananda Prabhu rested for the day, and when the day ended, he went to the temple of Raghava Pandit and began congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Lord Nityananda Prabhu first influenced all the devotees to dance, and finally he himself began dancing, thus inundating the entire world in ecstatic love. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was observing the dancing of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Wherever Lord Nityananda dances, Lord Chaitanya is there. He's also always there in Raghava Pandit's house when he cooks. Nityananda Prabhu could see this, but the others could not. The dancing of Lord Nityananda, like the dancing of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, cannot be compared to anything within the three worlds. No one can properly describe the sweetness of Lord Nityananda's dancing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally comes to see it. After the dancing and after Lord Nityananda had rested, Raghava Pandit submitted his request that the Lord take supper. Lord Nityananda Prabhu sat down for supper with his personal associates and made a sitting place on his right side for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there and sat down at his place. Seeing this, Raghava Pandit felt increasing happiness. Raghava Pandit brought the prasadam before the two brothers and thereafter distributed prasad to all the other devotees. There were varieties of cakes, sweet rice, fine cooked rice that surpassed the taste of nectar. There were also varieties of vegetables. The food prepared and offered to the deity by Raghava Pandit was like the essence of nectar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there again and again to eat such prasad. When Raghava Pandit offered the food to the deity after cooking, he would make a separate offering for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would eat at the house of Raghava Pandit. Sometimes he would give Raghava Pandit the opportunity to see him. Raghava Pandit would bring and distribute prasadam to the two brothers, feeding them with great attention. They ate everything, and therefore there were no remnants left. He brought so many presentations that no one could know them perfectly. Indeed, it was a fact that the Supreme Mother, Radharani, personally cooked in the house of Raghava Pandit. Radharani herself was there cooking. Srimati Radharani received from Devasa Muni the benediction that whatever she cooked would be sweeter than nectar. This is a special feature of her cooking. Of course, she wasn't depending upon Devasa Muni's boon, you could say, but nonetheless, this is how pastimes are. Aromatic and pleasing to see, the food was the essence of all sweetness. Thus the two brothers, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu, ate it with great satisfaction. All the devotees present requested Raghunath Das to sit down and take prasad, but Raghava Pandit told him he will take prasad later. All the devotees took prasad, filling themselves to the brim. Thereafter, chanting the holy name of Hari, they stood up and washed their hands and mouths. After eating, the two brothers washed their hands and mouths. Then Raghava Pandit brought flower garlands, sandalwood pop, and decorated them. Raghava Pandit offered them betel nuts and worshipped their lotus feet. He also distributed betel nuts, flower garlands, and sandalwood pop to the devotees. Raghava Pandit, being very merciful toward Raghunath Das, offered him the dishes with the remnants of food left by the two brothers. He said, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has eaten this food. If you take his remnants, you will be released from the bondage of your family. The Supreme Personality of Godhead always resides here in the heart or in the home of a devotee. So here now the devotees are blessing Raghunath, you'll be released. So Raghunath was punished. The Guru punishes the disciple to release the disciple from, let's say, whatever bondage or attachments there are in this material world. Chastisement is there. And then on the other side, then the devotees give their blessings. So they're about to bless him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is all pervasive. Supreme Personality of Godhead always resides either in the heart or in the home of a devotee. The fact is sometimes hidden and sometimes manifest. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully independent. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is all pervasive, and therefore he resides everywhere. Anyone who doubts this will be annihilated. In other words, they'll stay in the material world of birth and death. He's everywhere, as I mentioned the other day, but we cannot see him. Sometimes people make this argument. Why do you worship God in the temple? He's everywhere. You're right, he's everywhere, but you can't see him anywhere. Therefore he appears in merciful ways, so you have at least a chance to begin to realize his presence everywhere. And you can serve him to purify your consciousness so you can begin to see him everywhere. In the morning, after taking his bath in the Ganges, Nityananda Prabhu sat down with his associates beneath the same tree under which he had previously sat. Raghunath Das went there and worshipped Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. Through Raghava Pandit, he submitted his desire. Raghunath says, I am the lowest of men, the most sinful, fallen and condemned. Nevertheless, I desire to attain the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I've tried my best many times, but I have never been successful. Every time I try to go away and give up my home relationships, my father and mother unfortunately kept me bound. No one can attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy. So now he's understanding this. But if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain shelter at his lotus feet. Although I'm unfit and greatly afraid to submit this plea, I nevertheless request you, sir, to be especially merciful toward me by granting me shelter at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Placing your feet on my head, give me the benediction that I may achieve the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without difficulty. I pray for this benediction. After hearing this appeal by Raghunath Das, Lord Nityananda Prabhu smiled and told all the devotees, Raghunath Das's standard of material happiness is equal to that of Indra, the king of heaven. Because of the mercy bestowed upon him by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das, although situated in such material happiness, does not like it at all. Now this is a very important point. What is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sometimes it's a little different to what we expect. And we see here, his mercy is you have no interest at all in all the joys and all the opulences of the material universe. None. That is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that we lose that interest for sex life, for everything. Of course, if you're a family member, you have to do your duty, but in relationship with Krishna. Otherwise, one has no interest in anything of this world, save and except to engage in Krishna's service. He's teaching this lesson. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is his mercy that you don't have an interest in this. Most people pray to God, satisfy my material desires. Give me a beautiful wife. Give me opulence. Give me a nice family. All these things. Most people pray for that. But that is okay, if that's really what you want, the Lord may supply it. But if you're really fortunate, he may not supply it also. Or even if he does, you'll become completely not detached in a let's say, an external way, but internally. You will not be that will not be the objective of one's life. We'll see this as the Lord's children, the Lord's family. My service is to try to connect my family with Krishna, therefore his pleasure, not mine. I serve them on behalf of the Lord. But that's not very often the case. Therefore, let every one of you be merciful toward him and give him the benediction that he may very soon attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who experiences the fragrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna does not even value the standard of happiness available in Brahmaloka, the topmost planet. What to speak of heavenly happiness? Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is offered sublime, poetic prayers by those trying to attain his favor. Thus he is known as Uttama Shlok. Being very eager to gain the association of Lord Krishna, King Bharat, although in the prime of youth, gave up his very attractive wife, affectionate children, most beloved friends, and opulent kingdom, exactly as one gives up stool after excreting it. Pretty heavy example. But this is somebody who's on that platform of realization, not to be imitated. Then Lord Nityananda Prabhu called Raghunath Das near him, placed his lotus feet on Raghunath's head, and began to speak. My dear Raghunath Das, he said, since you arranged the feast on the bank of the Ganges, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here just to show you his mercy. By his causeless mercy, he ate the chip rice and milk. Then after seeing the dancing of the devotees at night, he took his supper. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaurahari came here personally to deliver you. Now rest assured that all the impediments meant for your bondage are gone. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept you and place you under the charge of his secretary, Swarup Damodar. You will thus become one of the most confidential internal servants and will attain the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being assured of all this, return to your home very soon without impediments. You will attain the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda had Raghunath Das blessed by all the devotees, and Raghunath Das offered his respects to their lotus feet. After taking leave of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and then all the other Vaishnavas, Raghunath Das consulted secretly with Raghunath Pandit. So that's another pastime there of how he arranged to give donation money and other opulences to all the devotees. Everyone received various gifts. So that's the Caitanya Charitamrita's account, Kaviraj's account of this amazing pastime of how to become released from the bondage of material existence and to attain the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the mercy of Nityananda. And however you want to interpret that in your daily life, but it's more than just doing a feast once in a year. And it's not even a feast, it's just a little bit of chip rice and yogurt on your plate mixed with khichdi or something else. But it's more than that, much more. It's a complete offering. Whatever the Lord wants, you offer that to Him, fully, complete surrender. And seeing the humility of Raghunath Das in his approach, etc., to apply these features in our lives, and Lord Nityananda will shower his mercy. And of course, the feast, many different aspects of that. The Sankirtan movement is indeed a feast. It was going out spreading the holy names as Lord Nityananda was ordered to do. And if we want Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we have to follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda and do the same thing. We have to try to distribute the holy name to every town and village of the world, starting wherever we are now. Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai, Shri Chira Doi Maha Mahotsav ki jai. Oh, Premanandi. Hare Krishna. So we're finished there. Yes. Are you okay? You ready for your chip rice?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, where's the river? Where's the river? Where's the Ganga? We have to go down to the Ganga now. River Seine. We have to go down to the River Seine. Sit by the banks of the River Seine with our chip rice and yogurt.
In Atlanta, they celebrated in a big way.
Pardon?
In Atlanta, they...
Oh, that's the biggest.
Yeah.
Jayapataka, because he was, because he maybe not see real active doing it now, of course, his health doesn't allow it, but previously he would go every year to, because it's called New Panihati, the Atlanta temple's named New Panihati. I lived there for 3 months. I lived in that temple for 3 months. 1980.
I came to visit that temple.
Yeah, very famous story.
Yeah.
Parama karuna pohudu jana nitai gora chandra sabavatara shara shiromani kevala ananda kanda. So they should sing it every day before going to time. This day is the most beautiful going time. He said that everywhere he went. But he specifically in Atlanta, he was crying. Prabhupada was showering tears of ecstasy. He could hardly sing. And yes, so they have beautiful festival there. And this is Jayapataka Maharaj. In 83, I don't think he was so involved, but for many decades, several decades, he would go every year. It's called New Panihati, that temple. And he would prepare this. He himself would go in the kitchen for hours preparing hundreds of varieties of this chip rice. They'd have 1,008 different types of chip rice.
Some salty and some sweet,
Yeah.
some big pots and some small pots.
All mixed with different things. We used to try for 108 in Malaysia. Yeah, different, basically 2 kinds, savory and sweet. The savory ones would be with various things like cucumbers and all sorts of things. Grated and stuff like that, mixed with various different things. Yeah, it was exciting. It was a real festival. We just do it to remember, but that was a real festival. People come from, hundreds of devotees would come from all over just to be there. You know.
I drove from Gainesville. It was like a week after I'd driven from San Diego to Alachua, and then I drove like 320 miles or something.
You went for the festival?
Yeah.
Yeah, really big festival. I don't know if they still do it or not.
They still have it. I don't know if it's
Not the
as big as
same,
it was.
not the same scale. Because Jayapataka Maharaj can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Not possible. But what to do? We used to do, because Malaysia was also a zone, so we used to do quite big in Malaysia also.
Is that also called New Panihati?
No, Jagannath Mandir. But because it was his zone,
Oh, I see.
he was GBC then.
Wow.
We also became like a big thing for
Wow.
all the devotees to do. You know. Probably still is actually. They know how dear it is to
teaching us and remembering it. I think I'll have to do it every year wherever I am and make sure that people talk about it instead of just twice.
Yeah, it's very meaningful, and it's also very purifying, and it's also very exciting, and it's also, very appropriate. Without the mercy of Nityananda, we cannot get the mercy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And without the mercy of the devotees also, you can't get Nityananda's mercy. You have to get that mercy. Jai Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta Ki Jai. Okay, Hare Krishna. We have lots of gifts. Kado, the first thing they say, is it? Kado? Kado. Gift? Gift? Is it a gift? Yes, but. I give you gift, you give me gift. How many of these